At first, I didn't come to trading for wisdom. I came for money, not freedom, not discipline, not self-mastery. Money. I wanted the kind of money that could silence pressure, the kind that could make life feel lighter, the kind that could make you believe you were finally ahead. And maybe you know that feeling. You see people online showing profits. You hear stories of accounts turning small numbers into big numbers. You start imagining what it would feel like if that was you. You tell yourself one thing: if I can just figure this out, my life changes. That thought is powerful and dangerous. Because in the beginning, you don't realize something important. The market is not where you go to escape yourself. The market is where you meet yourself. The beginning felt innocent. I still remember the first time I opened charts. Everything felt exciting. Candles moving, numbers changing, a chart rising and falling like it was alive. It felt like opportunity. For the first time, it felt like maybe money was not controlled by bosses, luck, or permission. Maybe I could learn it. Maybe I could understand it. Maybe I could take control. That idea pulled me in. I started watching videos, reading threads, learning words I had never used before: support, resistance, breakout, liquidity, risk management. At first, it felt like progress. Every new concept made me feel closer. But looking back now, I wasn't learning trading. I was collecting hope. And there's a difference. Because when hope becomes attached to money, the mind becomes dangerous. My first win changed everything. Then came the first winning trade. And that trade did more damage than I understood. It wasn't because it made me rich. It was because it made me believe I was right. That feeling, it is hard to explain unless you felt it. You enter. Price moves your way. Your profit grows. And suddenly the mind starts talking. Maybe I'm good at this. Maybe I figured it out faster than most people. Maybe this is it. That moment is where many traders quietly become emotional. Not because of loss, because of belief. One small win can create a dangerous illusion of control. And once that illusion enters your mind, your behavior changes. Now you are not just trading. Now you are expecting. And expectation is where suffering begins. Then reality arrived. My next losses didn't just take money. They attacked identity, because now every loss felt personal. I wasn't just losing trades. I felt like I was losing proof. Proof that I could do this. Proof that I was smart enough. Proof that I could make this work. That's when the emotional cycle began. A loss. Then another. Then a bigger position. Then revenge. Then panic. Then hope. Then more loss. And the worst part? I kept calling it strategy. But deep down, it wasn't strategy. It was fear wearing technical language. I wasn't following a system. I was reacting emotionally and using market vocabulary to justify it. That was one of the hardest truths I had to face. The secret nobody tells beginners. Most people think losing hurts because of money. That's only part of it. The deeper pain is what loss says about you. Loss can trigger shame. It can make you feel irresponsible, naive, weak, out of control. And when that happens, something dangerous begins. You stop trying to make good decisions. You start trying to repair emotional damage. That changes everything. Now the goal is not execution. Now the goal is emotional relief. And that is where revenge trading is born. Not greed. Pain. A wounded mind trying to recover dignity through price. That realization hit me hard because I started seeing that many of my bad trades were not financial decisions. They were emotional reactions. I was not trading. I was negotiating with fear. That was the turning point. I began noticing what happened before every impulsive trade. A small internal discomfort, not logic. Discomfort. Fear of missing out. Fear of being wrong. Fear of watching price move without me. Fear of ending the day red. That fear created urgency. And urgency made bad decisions feel intelligent. That's what makes trading psychologically brutal. You can be emotionally driven and still sound rational. You can tell yourself, this setup looks good. It's probably going to reverse. I'll reduce risk next time. But internally, you're not calm. You're negotiating with fear. That was me. And once I saw that, I could no longer hide behind charts. The problem was not the market, the problem was me. Trading became a mirror. That was the painful part. Trading began revealing patterns that existed outside trading. Impatience, need for control, emotional attachment to outcomes, the need to be right, avoiding discomfort. The market did not create those things. It exposed them. That honesty was uncomfortable because it forced me to admit something. I wasn't only trying to make money, I was trying to feel enough. And when trading becomes emotional, risk becomes personal. That is dangerous because then every red candle feels like rejection. Every missed move feels like regret. Every stop loss feels like failure. That is exhausting. And many traders stay trapped there for years. The hardest moment. There was a moment I remember clearly. I closed a losing trade, sat there, looked at the screen, and felt empty. Not angry, not shocked, just tired. That kind of tired that does not come from charts. It comes from emotional conflict. The conflict of wanting freedom but creating pressure, wanting control but becoming reactive, wanting growth but repeating self-destruction. And I asked myself a hard question. What exactly am I doing? That question changed everything because for the first time I stopped asking how to make money and started asking why I was behaving this way. That was a much more useful question. The quiet truth. The biggest shift in my journey was not better entries. It was honesty, real honesty. I started admitting things I used to hide. I was overtrading. I was emotional. I was impatient. I was trying to force outcomes. I was trading with expectation. I was using hope as a strategy. And strangely, that honesty felt like relief because denial keeps you trapped, but truth gives you something to work with. That was the beginning of actual progress. Not profits, progress. And those are not always the same thing. I learned to stop chasing emotional certainty. One of the biggest lessons I learned is this. Trading will never give you certainty, and trying to force certainty creates suffering. No perfect setup, no perfect confirmation, no perfect entry, only probability. That was hard for me because emotionally the mind wants guarantees. It wants safety. It wants proof. But mature trading is learning to act without emotional certainty. That requires trust, not trust in outcome, trust in process. That changed how I saw everything. Discipline became quieter. At first, I thought discipline would feel powerful. I thought it would feel intense. It didn't. Real discipline felt quiet. Sometimes it meant doing nothing. Sometimes it meant missing a move. Sometimes it meant accepting a small loss without fighting. Sometimes it meant closing the laptop. That doesn't feel heroic, but that's what actually protects capital. The boring choices, the emotionally unexciting choices. That's where consistency starts. What I finally understood. I thought trading would make me rich. It made me honest. It showed me where I was impulsive, where I was fearful, where I needed control, where I confused outcome with identity. And that honesty changed more than my trading. It changed how I make decisions, how I handle pressure, how I sit with uncertainty, how I respond when things don't go my way. That is bigger than charts, because trading, if you stay long enough, becomes a psychological education. And many people quit before receiving it. If you are struggling right now, maybe you are in that stage now. You're frustrated, confused, questioning yourself. Maybe you feel like you're working hard but repeating the same mistakes. That does not always mean you lack intelligence. Sometimes it means you are meeting parts of yourself you have never learned to manage. That is uncomfortable, but it is also useful. Because once you can see it clearly, you can change it. Awareness comes before control, always. The market didn't make me honest because it was cruel. It made me honest because it was neutral. Price simply reflected behavior, and behavior revealed psychology. That was the lesson. I thought trading would change my bank account. Instead, it changed how I understand myself. And strangely, that may be worth more, because money without self-control disappears, but self-awareness can protect you for life. Looking back, I thought trading would change my finances. Instead, it changed me. It taught me that the market was never my real opponent. My impatience was. My fear was. My need to be right was. And the day I understood that, everything began to change. Because trading is not about predicting every move. It's about learning how to stay calm when you don't know what comes next. And maybe that's the real lesson. The market won't make you rich first. It will make you honest.